Right. So good afternoon, everyone. I think we can just start right now, huh? Okay. So first of all, welcome to the second day of Makassar International Writers Festival. Thank you very much indeed for joining us at the Silence Virtual Residency Project for the Deaf Community panels, and we are delighted to have you here. Thank you so very much also, and we wish that we could welcome you offline and see the beauty of Makassar, the Rotterdam fort and everything. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, all the panels of the festival are going to be conducted offline. Mind you also, if you happen to see like the opening ceremony of the Makassar International Writers Festival, the theme that we are raising at the moment is anthropos. A term which we often hear these days, right? Even though that term is often being neglected after we hear another terms like lockdown or the pandemic and so on. So basically it describes the massive pose which the humans are forced to take an effort to suppress the transmission of the COVID-19. But even with them, even with these massive pandemics, right? The massive pandemic has changed the orders of the world and also the human's life. Like our life has changed because of this pandemic. And for some reason, this pandemic is, how to say, like also brings the exclusivity only for several or certain people. But then what about those voices that we cannot hear or tend not to hear? What about the migrant writers? What about those who cannot be benefited from from this pandemic, the daily workers, especially as we are having this panel at the moment? What about those friends in our deaf community? So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, once again, welcome to the Silent Virtuals Residency Project for the Deaf Communities International Programs at Makassar International Writers Festival. Before I started, mind you also to turn off your camera and turn off your microphone. Because this, how to say, like this panel is also broadcasting online in YouTube. Later you can see our discussions also in Rumata YouTube channels. Another one is that we also provide you with the sign interpreters, and also to those who are in need for the Bahasa Indonesia interpretation. All you have to do is just click the interpretation button close to the reaction, and then you click the Bahasa Indonesia. And to those who are in need for the English interpretations, it's vice versa. Okay, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get the party started. Here, as we are talking about the silence programs and our friends from the deaf community artists, let me present you. In Bahasa Indonesia, we have an old proverbs named tak kenal maka tak sayang. How can I translate it into English? Out of sight, out of mind. So because I wanted to be loved and I wanted our speakers to be loved by you, I would love to invite them. I would love to invite Fitra, okay, to come and greet us. Fitra, are you there? Hi, Fitra.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. So everyone, you may see Fitra. This one is Eji. Eji is the sign interpreters that we have here. Fitra Ramadan is the deaf dancer, okay, as what you can see here, who loves poetry. And later we are going to see a little bit of Fitra's poems here. He is a little bit like our Indonesian Jalaluddin Rumi effect. Okay, and he talks in the sign language, and also he lives his life in the Descartian's way. I think before, therefore I am. So Fitra, can you say hi to our friends? Can everyone spot Fitra here? Hello Fitra. Could you say hi to our friends?
Teman.
Okay. Apa kabar? How are you? How is Makassar? Yeah? Is it raining?
Iya, betul. Sekarang lagi hujan.
Okay. So stay safe. I'll go back to you later.
Okay.
Okay, good one. So everyone, we also have another spectacular speakers that we imported a long way to swim from Wales. Okay, please welcome also Safian Akbal here. Hello, Safian.
Hello, Jessica.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Hope you are well.
Yes. So everyone, in case if you ever happen to read the Makassar International Writers Festival website, you are going to see the list of speakers, and Safian is going to be one of them. Safian has a huge passion in making the videos, and he happens to like the Ninja Turtles like me. But you know, as Safian is very much interested in making the videos, we have a huge surprise. Safian has a huge surprise for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is the huge surprise from Safian, the video that he is creating. Okay, let's see Safian's surprise. There you go.
Hello, my name is Safian Iqbal. I'm profoundly deaf. The age of 24 years old. I am based in Wales. I was born hearing. Then after that, I was playing the toys in the living room. My mom was cooking, cleaning in the kitchen. I started to notice after she called me that I could not hear have made her worry. So came over to me and tapped my shoulder, and I turned around and looked at her. That was happening when I was a 9-month old. Then ran to the doctor and tried to find everything. I still don't know the answer, but I am doing healthy what I got told, so I had to wear hearing aids. When I go to school, people started to talk very clearly, but my sound with hearing aids was more likely muffled, which I didn't understand the conversation. The sound unclear, but my mom had learned a basic sign language so that she can communicate with me using the sign language. Then I finally got picked up, understood, and started talking to my mom a lot. In about 2005, I had operation for my cochlear implant. The age of 11. At about 12, I turned my sound on, and the first sound was baby crying and a dog barking. Next house neighbor that made me cry in a happy way. It what made my day. Then had to go to my second school and sound like talking, everything perfect. Pure sound had changed my life completely, meaning I can communicate through BSL, spoken English, can listen to music, felt like incredibly wow. I have joined the deaf club, deaf events, and much more. There are a lot of deaf people talk, sign, made me felt included because of my first language is BSL. I joined youth music where I can able to play guitar, drum to keep myself enjoy hobby. In about 2018 to 2019, ITV internship a month, learn, then an apprenticeship. Reason I joined because when I was little, there's a cartoon program called Justice and TMNT because every day is something, but the story is different. What I got passionate from. I've wanted to join because of passionate and to show Deaf can do it when people say I can't do. So I have proved them wrong. ITV team that with me instead of say no, yes, or maybe would try a different way what could work. I've learned therapy since school end of 2018 so that I can able to speak and sign. During the pandemic of COVID-19, it gets harder and harder where I stay home and if I go out I have to wear a mask with no body language face impressions just when talk to me was hard to repeat and had to go through Zoom, talk friend and meeting, sometimes frustrated, run out of freeze and hard to catch up. I felt quite a lot easier to face instead of on Zoom. During the time I have joined music actor performance podcast to keep myself learning curve so that gain experience.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to invite you to encourage our speakers and to appreciate them by pressing the reaction button. Just please press the, the clapping hand one, right? Or the love one. So thank you, Safian. Thank you so much indeed for the videos that you are making. It's really touches my heart. And one thing that I highlight here is the phrase that shows your resistance, saying like, listen, I want to prove that a deaf can also do what the normal people do. Well done, Saf. But then hold it tight, as Fitra, you and I are going to talk longer. But before that, let me just greet also our respondents here and other friends. I also imported some great friends from the long way to swim, Wales. I have Niall Griffiths here and Alessandra. Hello, Alex, and also hello, Niles.
Hello.
Yes, let me start first with the ladies because everyone always say ladies go first, right? So here I have Alessandra. Alessandra is the director of Literatures Across Frontiers, right? Platform based in Wales, United Kingdom. A literary curator, translator, and editor in numerous publications. Mind you also that Alessandra has translated some 25 books of fiction and poetry between her native language, Czech, Greek, and English. Woof. I think I don't even know what I have to say, imagine somebody who can speak that kind of language. It must be a talented in a polyglot way. Well done, Alex. And Alessandra also had to say translated some series of editors of new voices from Europe and beyond bilingual poetries. Later, we are going to find out how literature across frontiers connected with MEWF and so on. So thank you, Alex. Could you wave your hands to our audience here, to our friends here? That's it. There you go. Okay, now another one. I have Niall Griffiths here. Hi, Niles.
Hiya.
Could you wave your hands and say hello to our Indonesian audience? How do you say hello in Wales?
Well, if Barada is good morning, because we're morning here. Shemai is how are you?
Okay,
so, Barada Shemai Pawb Indonesia.
Okay, that is how we say like hello, how are you? And good morning in Bahasa Indonesia. Ladies and dear good friends, Niles was born in Liverpool and has been based in Mid Wales for a quarter of a century. He has authored 8 novels, and one of which, Kelly and Victor's, was turned into a BAFTA-winning films. Congratulations, Niles.
Thank you.
Memoirs, poetry collections, and more short pieces and radio plays than he cares to count. There must be a lot to count, or too long. The number is too long for until you lose track to count.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
His books have been translated into many languages. We are waiting for the Bahasa Indonesian translation, Niles.
Yeah.
And he has given readings from his work on every continent on Earth. Well, somebody will have to invite him to Antarctica and he would be gladly accepted it.
Yes.
Okay, so Niles, greetings from Makassar and some other parts of Indonesia. Thank you for joining us here.
You're very welcome.
Moving back from our, moving from our Welsh respondents here, I also have a group friends of mine. Hello, Kak Ernie, the one and beautiful Ernie Alajais. Hello. You have to unmute your microphone first.
Halo, selamat sore kawan-kawan semuanya.
Hello, Kak Ernie. So mind you, everyone, that for sure that some of you has already know Ernie. Ernie is one of the Indonesian writers from the eastern part of Indonesia. Okay, Ernie writes prose and narrative news, and her works in form of poetry, essays, short stories, and novels have been published in various national media. So Ernie was selected also as Makassar International Writers Festival Emerging Writers at 2011. And her latest book is Hania and Allah di Rumah Teteruga. Unfortunately, when I asked Ernie, could you bring the book? Ernie says like, oh, no, I haven't got the book with me. Too bad. Ernie, you broke my heart, but I'm waiting for the next session so you can show me your books, okay? Thank you, Ernie. So moving from Wales to Indonesia, now I wanted to greet the one and only beautiful lady in Melbourne. Hello, Lily. So
Hello.
for sure, everybody already know who Lily is. You know, when you are seeing Makassar International Writers Festival signs, you cannot, people also always associated with Lily Farid, the one and only. But a part of her being the founder and the director of Makassar International Writers Festival, she also writes the short stories. I happen to have her compilations of the book here. Oops, sorry, can you see them? Entitled The Family Room. Everybody should grab it. It's the stories are very engaging. And Lily has worked as the volunteer for the cultural organization since 2010, and received the National Cultural Award 2018 from the government of Indonesia. So we are glad to have somebody like her who has like a huge concern in the Indonesian literatures and also giving us these platforms. Thank you, Lily. So before I return to our speakers, it is very interesting to know that these four respondents, either Ernie, Lily, Alessandra, or Niles, has such a huge concerns in the deaf communities, artists, or deaf community, the friends from the deaf communities. So let me just start from Alessandra. Alessandra, you are working in LAF, right? Like the Literatures Across Frontiers. You volunteers, you are the director there, okay? And the focus here, okay, is how to say, like, you are focusing on literature, but then how can it connect it with Makassar International Writers Festivals? You know, such a long way to swim from Wales to Makassar, but then how can you two are connected? How can you and Lily are connected in the middle?
Shmai, hello everyone. Thank you for this introduction, Deska. Luckily, we're not swimming, and we have been, as an organization, we have been connecting with other organizations working with literature in Southeast Asia. Our collaboration with the Makassar literature festival really started with the London Book Fair in 2017, when Indonesia was what they call the market focus. I don't particularly like that designation because it's really, Indonesia is a collection of cultures, of languages and so on. It's not particularly a market from my point of view. And so what happened then was that the British Council organizes the Focus program, the cultural program each year at the London Book Fair. So they arranged for Faisal Odang to come to Wales, and we connected him with Niall. And the two spent, I think, a week together. It was like a short residency, and Niall basically showed him around Aberystwyth, which is where we are based, and told him a bit about the literary scene of Wales. After that, we planned to send Niall to Indonesia, to the Makassar Festival, and he was supposed to attend it last year, but then the pandemic put an end to these plans, and he couldn't go, but we thought it would be great to keep connected. And then Lily, thankfully, thank you, Lily, contacted me about this project. And I have to say it was an eye-opener, and I'm really grateful. We partnered with Disability Arts Cymru, which is the Wales-based organization that supports artists with disabilities. And the director, Ruth Fabi, has been really helpful, kind of highlighting the issues that we have to pay attention to. And also through DAC, we connected with Safian.
Okay.
Now, I just want to say Safian is really a very talented young man, and it's amazing that he's exactly the same age as Fitra, isn't he? And he has all these talents that he has been using to be an advocate and to help create connections between the deaf community and the hearing. And he's someone who explains the barriers and how to overcome them. His name, Safian, as I understand, means lucky. And he indeed has been lucky in being able to get an implant, cochlear implant, so that he can actually hear from the age of 11 or 12. And that made it possible for him to do all the things that he's been doing. So it's been really great to work with him and with Niall, of course, and to meet Fitra and Edney and the whole Makassar Festival team.
Oh, thank you, Alex. It's very interesting also when you say like Indonesia is not a collection of Indonesia is a collection of language, not market. Not so many people think about it, because they might just think like, oh, when we are talking about the literaries, Indonesia is just a market that they can exploit and so on, right? Even though they say it's like, okay, we are going to rise the voices from the Indonesian writers, but in fact, it's doesn't really work that way. But very interesting, Alex. Interesting point of view. Thank you. Now, Niles, I would love you to add some things. We are talking about the residency of Faisal Odang here, and through him, you started to get your introduction to the Indonesian writers and the Makassar, International Writers Festival. Have you ever actually reading like some of the Indonesians' writings, like some of the Indonesian authors, and how do you find how do you find this writing so far? And it is also very interesting, like when Alessandra connect the link between between her and you and Safian. How to say, my next question should be like, why videos? Because Alessandra deals with the literacy and so on, but why videos? Why, .
Your first question, I will speak slowly because my accent can be quite strong and confusing. Your first question, I've read some of Faisal Odang's work in translation, and I believe you have a couple of people in the participants now, Tiffany Sao and Kayaki Barocca. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing those names.
Yeah.
Who write in English and whose work I fully intend to have a look at. It's a part of the world that especially modern contemporary writing, that I don't know a great deal about, to be honest with you. As I say, apart from Faisal's and what he told me about various Indonesian writers. No, it's a culture or cultures, as Alex quite rightly points out, that I'd really, really like to explore. I don't really know that part of the world anyway. I mean, I've only ever been in that part of the world. I've only ever been to Singapore, but I've met a lot of in Indonesian people, and it was such a great time showing Faisal around Wales. We took him, me and my partner, we took him to the part of Wales that tourists wouldn't really see because the way off the train line or even the roads, you know, but me and my girlfriend know them well. So we took him up to the little cottage in which I wrote my first novel, way up in the hills. And we showed him some little beach towns that, you know, don't have any public transport to and all that kind of thing. Took him to a fantastic fish restaurant because we're on the coast, which has since closed down, alas. But it was great to speak to him about the culture, or cultures rather, the culture that Faisal knows. And I was very much looking forward to getting there, of course, but COVID-19 came along. And then Alex asked if I'd like to work with Safian. So I checked out Safian's YouTube channels and various other things that he has online, which he posted towards the end of his video. Found him fascinating. The way he's using sign and English, and the way he translates, especially when in his written English, the way he transliterates rather the sign language into English. So he's created this strange poetry, this really strange dialect of English, and I've long been fascinated in dialect and gesture, and how could I say, marginalized modes of expression. All of this stuff is really, since I was born, well, since I could speak, really fascinated me. So I thought this would be really interesting to work with a deaf person and see what they're doing with English and with sign. So that's been absolutely fascinating. Safian's preferred mode of communication, expression rather, is video, understandably so, given his deafness. So that was great for me to work alongside to see how one image can capture several sentences. You know, I've done some work with TV and film and script writing, but it's not the same thing as having visuals as your chosen mode of expression. So that's been a real eye-opener for me and a learning curve. Every day is a school day, as we say over here.
Okay, wow. I highlighted also some phrases here that one image captures several senses, like, you know, some it is quite a little bit sad when we, how to say, like when we are saying that we are normals and others are abnormal just because they are losing one of the senses. And sometimes people often to look down to those people who lose like some senses, but you know, the universe, I think, is great. Like you might be missing one senses, but giving, you know, they give you some other, they add some other talents into you. So
I actually said how one image can capture several sentences, but your mishearing was actually a lot better. You're capturing several senses was a lot better than what I said. So thank you.
My bad hearing then, Niles. Sorry.
No, it was much more interesting.
But then how to say, it is very interesting also. Okay, hold back, Alessandra and Niles. I'm going to go back to you later, but we also have Fitra here. And Fitra is our how to say, one of the writers that Ernie how to say, like helps. Ernie is Fitra's mentors here. So Ernie, could I just get to you before I get to Ibu Lilis? Like, how would you, like how would you come out with the ideas of working with Fitra? And Ibu Lily, you can also add some points, because it's quite a little sometimes, like, we are asking ourselves, like, why Fitra? Why these deaf communities? Why do you feel the urge of helping them? Okay, maybe Ernie can start first.
Ya, apa? Bisa diartikan bahasa Indonesia biar saya tidak salah.
Yes, sure. Apa Mbak Ernie? Jadi kenapa sih fitrah gitu loh? Dan kenapa harus Kenapa sih kok kita ambil fitrah gitu loh? Kenapa bukan yang lain? Dan kenapa kayak harus membantu teman-teman kayak deaf community artist ini? Kak Ernie, sebenarnya Kak Ernie juga bisa press tombol interpretation. Nanti Kak Ernie ketika kita ngomong bahasa Inggris, Kak Ernie bisa langsung mendengar dalam bahasa Indonesia. Oke. Jadi kita mulai dengan Kak Ernie dulu, nanti Kak Lili silahkan menambahkan. Kenapa harus fitrah dan kenapa harus memberi ruang kepada teman-teman yang tidak bisa mendengar ini gitu loh? Sebenarnya apa sih yang mereka mau perdengarkan ke kita gitu lewat unheard sounds-nya itu, unheard voice-nya?
Oh iya, oke. Jadi saya pikir adalah sebenarnya Fitra adalah seorang penulis yang kemudian dia sudah seorang penulis yang kemudian ketika ada project silence ini lalu seperti berjodoh begitu antara Fitra dan project silence ini, karena kebetulan berada di lingkaran yang sama. Kebetulan selama ini Makassar International Writer Festival itu bekerja sama secara rutin dengan juru bahasa isyarat di Makassar, sehingga Fitra ini adalah seorang penulis yang selama ini belum dia sudah menulis puisinya sudah tersebar di sosial medianya, tetapi belum diberi ruang, difasilitasi seperti itu. Jadi melalui program Project Silence ini, kemudian Fitra diberi ruang untuk menulis jurnalnya selama pandemi. Jadi saya kira itu seperti itu. Untuk selengkapnya mungkin Kak Lili lebih tahu.
So give all the hard works to Lili Farid.
Okay, thank you, Deska. So this project actually it's our like a long journey with our deaf communities in Makassar. So I need to acknowledge Chiki and friends who they're all just amazing, yeah. Because if not because Chiki, Epi, and other sign language interpreters, we didn't realize that there is a need to really think about creating and facilitating a platform for the deaf communities. I remember like 3 or 4 years ago, it was for the first time I was sitting by myself and seeing lots of people approaching the main stage at the fort for the opening of one of our festival. Here I'm talking about the pre-pandemic, yeah, how beautiful our life was, yeah. So everyone was sitting on the grass, and then I noticed there's a small group of people who really focus to sit just near the stage. So I approached them and asked, say, do you need a special need? Why you have to sitting down there? So they say, and then Chiki approached me, say, Kak Lili, ini teman-teman tuli. So Chiki just informed me that, Kak Lili, this is actually our friend from Makassar Deaf community. They love this festival. And could you please prepare sign language interpreter for your festival next year? So it was 4 years ago. So you see, there's a process. Yeah, the festival itself has been evolving, and it was for the first time we address the issue of inclusivity. Of course, it's not easy, but I always believe that we have to do it. It's not impossible. Yeah, it's still possible. So I approached Chiki. We now become such a good friend because Chiki also an artist, a dancer, an activist. So we learn a lot. Like Niall said, it's just like a school day every day. Yeah, we learn new things. We have new friends. And there's another thing here, Deska, because I've been working with a lot of people in the last 12 years. And then for this festival, been working for the festival for 10 years now. I remember every time we concluded the festival, I went back home and then rereading my notes. Full, the notes actually filled by lots of complaints from Indonesian writers. Oh, poor infrastructures, lack of support, that kind of lots of complaints about what can we do to make this environment and ecosystem better. So one day I said, if I had a chance to apply for a grant, I'd love to work to connect these two things. A perfect ecosystem for a writer and for a writer or a future writer from disability group. I really want to combine this. So I applied for this grant. This virtual residency program is supported by British Council. So apply, but before I applied, I emailed Alexandra. We had such stimulating discussions about this. Two directors with, such a strong willing to address this issue, but no experience.
Interesting.
Right? But there's such a strong, reason why we have to try this. If not now, when?
Yeah,
So I said to Alexandra, let's do this. Let's put this idea together and submit our proposal. So our role here, I think it's more, creating the platform and testing this argument. What if we had our capability and capacity in our hands to create such a great environment and ecosystem for a writer? Will someone help us or invest the money for us? And yes, of course, if you write a strong and convincing proposal.
And it's not so easy, right? Because normally all those grants will always wanted the big writers and so on. Not some kind of
this is actually,
writers.
I mean, like as Ernie said, no one actually knows Fitra as a writer in Makassar.
Really?
No, of course not. And again, it's just because we have such a great connection with the deaf community in Makassar. So Chiki can share her insights. We had such an interesting discussion about if we want to set up a pilot project to testing this argument about what happens if you want to be a writer in Makassar and you are offered a facility, scholarship, you don't need to worry about money, you don't need to work. 4 months. You have 2 mentors. One of the mentors is one of the greatest writers that I know from Eastern Indonesia, Ernie Alajai. Plus 1 project manager. I approached Fikri is here. And I said, look, if you want to be a writer, your job is to write and to read, right? You don't need to worry about money. You don't need to worry about how you gonna organize your schedule and daily activities. So we assign a project manager for you. But sorry, Fitra, it's only for 4 months, yeah, because we're going to do this experiment. But this is actually the important thing that we learn together. Everyone who involved in this project from Makassar, yeah. Of course, our partner in Wales also, just been doing such great work to testing this argument. So I said to Fitra, imagine you come to us and say, okay, I want to be a writer. What sort of facility that you gonna give? And we said, you have 2 mentors, 1 mentors for writing and 1 mentors for self-development and networking, which is me, of course. So Ernie is going to, become your partner in writing. And myself's gonna be just helping you with this networking and then sharing how actually you see yourself as a writer, and then how you connect yourself with the world out there and what sort of possibility that you can create when you really want to be a writer. So, and then because you're a deaf writer, I think we need to add an extra element here. We hire 2 illustrators. Visual illustrator will work with you because we need to explore a lot of possibilities with words, beyond sound. Because here, normal people work with 5 senses, right?
Right, yes.
But Fitra, I think, and Safian in Wales just demonstrated, like, look, we see the word, we respond to everything in our daily life different. You normal people have limitations. We are not. We are special, right? We are not disabled. We are special. So as I said to Ernie, that I think that we are the one who learned a lot in the last 4 months. Ya nggak Ernie ya, kita justru yang belajar banyak dari Fitra. So 2 illustrators, 2 sign language interpreters, they all here, Chiki and Eki. 2 illustrators, Astari and another friend, and 1 project manager. And I said to Fitra, there is no reason for you to fail this program because we already created such a great environment and support system for you. Why we have to do this? Because I say, if we don't do this, we don't have an evidence base to argue any complaints in the future about how to be a writer in Indonesia and how to be a writer if you come from a community or people with disability.
Okay.
I think that's all. And so I think today, our role is just to provide the platform for Saf and Fitra. And I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Very interesting, Lily. Thank you very much for the for a little bit of the highlights and explanations about how Fitra is being accommodated and being provided not only not only to satisfy his passion in writings, but also to expand his wings, so everyone can also hear who Fitra, or everyone can also know who like Fitras is. Very interesting. I highlighted 1 point here from Lily, saying like we are not disabled, we are special. So Fitra, if I can how to say, like, if I can go to Fitra. Hi Fitra. Hello, Fitra, are you there? Okay, so Fitra, could you tell me, like, when Lily asks you, when Lily says like, you are not disabled, you are special, how does it feel to you? How do you feel about it?
Saya merasa
I still hear the echoes. Maybe Fitra, can you mute your microphone first so
Okay.
Chiki can talk. Otherwise, I hear the echo.
Saya merasa senang sekali sebab saya masuk ke dalam bisa berpartisipasi dalam MIWF. Apalagi saya disuruh menulis. Aku punya ide untuk merangkul semua teman-teman yang ada di komunitas Tulu untuk menyuarakan tentang permasalahan-permasalahan yang mereka hadapi dan hambatan yang selalu mereka temui dimanapun. Nah, saya ingin mewujudkan di masa depan bahwa tidak ada lagi hambatan untuk teman-teman tuli. Nah, kalau aku, Fitra, punya kemampuan, aku pikir kemampuan saya itu adalah sama seperti teman-teman tuli yang lain. Sebab aku bertumbuh bersama teman-teman tuli. Duniaku ini ya dunia tuli. Aku bisa dance dari dunia tuli. Nah, aku pun belajar mempelajari tentang hambatan-hambatan dengar ini. Sulit sekali mendengarkan hal-hal, tapi aku berusaha sendiri untuk belajar sebab tuli itu sendiri kemampuannya bisa mencari cara sendiri. Ya, seperti itu. Dan itu juga kita punya masing-masing cara setiap persona.
Okay, so and it's very interesting. It's like you said, like you have your way also in dealing with these terms. But what makes you also this is something that I've been questioning, you know, for a while. It's like, what makes you finally you know, like decided like, okay, I'm joining, I'm going to go with all the mentorship and everything. Remember that even though Lily said that you don't need to worry about the money, you don't need to worry about the work and everything, but life will also need some fun. So how can you focus on that kind of things? Mind you also, dear good friends, that if you have any questions, please leave in the chat box columns, and also please mention your name and also where do you come from, your names and your question and to whom the question is addressed, ya. Jadi teman-teman yang yang punya pertanyaan nanti silahkan ketik di kolom chat. Kita akan ada Q&A, tapi kita tidak akan ada open mic. So tolong sebutkan nama teman-teman di sana dan kepada siapa pertanyaan nanti ditujukan. Okay. So Fitra.
Oke, baik. Aku jadi dana yang diberikan kepada saya itu aku nggak gunakan sendiri sebenarnya, tapi aku membagikannya kembali ke teman-teman komunitas di komunitas tuli, juga beberapa aku kirimkan untuk mensupport komunitas tuli yang ada di kampung. Jadi aku merasa bisa membantu. Jadi aku mungkin bisa menjadi contoh bahwa meskipun aku tuli, kita bisa setara dengan orang-orang yang lain gitu. Masa aku bisa sukses, kalian tidak bisa? Pasti kalian juga punya kesempatan yang sama untuk saya, seperti saya. Terus saya berterima kasih karena saya merasa senang sekali. Saya bisa melukis juga di sini. Aku ada tim ilustrator juga. Nah, buat saya sendiri membuat visual itu sulit gitu, sebab caranya terus merangkai kata juga sulit karena saya nggak begitu akrab dengan literasi kata-kata, dan dalam bahasa isyarat juga kata-kata itu agak begitu berantakan. Nah, di sini juga saya jadi tertantang untuk menantang diri saya sendiri, menaikkan kemampuan saya, dan itu semua berkat KRNI yang selalu menjadi support system yang terbaik. Untuk aku belajar lagi, dan sama Kak Lili juga, kita saling bersinergi, saling belajar.
Fitra,
Kak Erni, dia ngajarin aku, terus lama-lama ada sekitar 1-2 bulan itu saya sudah merasa akrab dengan menulis gitu. Tapi kadang-kadang harus revisi lagi. Tapi mungkin juga itu karena terlalu banyak ide yang mau dimasukkan, kemudian jadinya susunannya lebih berantakan gitu. Jadi adanya revisi-revisi supaya membuat alur cerita itu lebih baik gitu. Tapi Kak Erni tuh tetap aja gitu mendukung saya, dan aku juga jadinya tetap semangat deh. Nah, kalau misalkan orang-orang ngelihat Fitra tuh tuli terus banyak kekurangan, sebenarnya enggak sih, karena buat aku pribadi juga, aku selalu berusaha untuk menjadi lebih baik dan membuat dunia ini terlihat inklusif bagi orang-orang yang melihat budaya tuli itu sendiri, supaya dunia tuli juga bisa maju dan setara gitu.
Okay, Fitra, it is very interesting. Like, when you say like, when I got the money, when I got the fund, I also shared it with my friends from the deaf community. It's so generous. Like, like how many people would just think about others while they are still in need gitu kan. Jadi berapa banyak sih yang mau sharing dengan yang lainnya, bahkan ketika dia itu sendiri kekurangan, right? So Fitra, there is also a question that I always like to ask. Yeah, I know this is quite a little bit cliche, these questions, but when you are working with Ernie or you are working with Lily, because these two are your mentors, do you find like any difficulties in dealing with them, particularly in communicating? Because most of the time you will for sure will have to speak in the sign language. And
Oke. Jadi kesulitannya itu sebenarnya di merangkai kata-kata aja. Terus aku berusaha banget dan selalu memaksa diri sendiri bahwa aku harus bisa nih. Seperti itu.
Oke. Nah, apa namanya, holdbacks ya, Fitra? I also heard that you have to say like you also have written one poem. Okay, it is entitled "Being the Light." So why do you come with the idea? What is the idea behind these poems? Why being the light? You are not somebody who, you can see things clearly, but why the light? Is the light here means something? Jadi Fitra ini membuat puisi teman-teman.
Aku mengambil Oke.
Judulnya Being the Light. So jadi judulnya Being the Light. Kenapa harus light gitu loh? You are not Fitra bukan seseorang yang tidak bisa melihat. So why the light? Maybe we can see also Fitra's poems here.
Oke. Nah, sekarang saya mau menjelaskan. Oke.
Hang on a second. Let us see also Chiki,
judul
hang on a second.
Jadilah Cahaya itu sebab
Chiki, hang on a second. Let us see Fitra's poem also here while Fitra explaining.
Suaranya oke?
Can we see Fitra's poems here? That state. Okay, Fitra, can you explain us why pin the light here? And it is very interesting because you also say among death I am here. There is a story. So what kind of story you wanted to give to others? What kind of story you wanted to tell through this poem?
Oke, dijawab sekarang ya. Nah,
Sure.
Aku memilih judul Menjadi Cahaya itu tersebut mungkin orang-orang dengar itu sudah tahu arti cahaya itu sendiri ya. Orang-orang dengar pasti udah tahu dan akrab dengan arti cahaya itu sendiri. Tapi di dunia tuli itu dia nggak tahu nih konotasi cahaya itu apa. Mereka tidak tahu. Nah, aku mau memilih kata cahaya ini karena sejak lama masalah ini aku lihat teman-teman tulis sudah sejak lama bahwa semua teman-teman tuli itu ada masalah di mana khususnya di Makassar itu bahwa semua orang itu sama gitu. Semua itu teman-teman tuli tetap sabar meskipun ada masalah, terus seperti kekerasan verbal begitu, dilecehkan secara verbal seperti itu, tapi tetap diam begitu. Sebab teman-teman tuli itu fokus untuk mau menjadi cahaya. Kalau orang-orang dengar mendiskriminasi misalkan, teman-teman tuli lebih memilih sabar untuk menghadapinya. Sebab ke depan kita mau membuktikan bahwa kita juga sama sebenarnya sama teman-teman yang ada di dunia dengar ini. Nah, contohnya aku nih senang banget sudah terpilih dan membuat Jadilah Cahaya. Mungkin orang bisa memiliki banyak arti bahwa cahaya itu apa. Cahaya bisa sukses, cahaya bisa berarti dari gelap menjadi terang, mulai dari yang tidak tahu naik motor sampai bisa mengemudi. Nah, bisa memiliki multi interpretasi. Nah, cahaya yang kupilih ini bahwa komunitas tuli yang tadinya mundur harus maju dan menjadi cahaya. Jadi tidak boleh mundur lagi. Aku ingin membagikan filosofi ini kepada teman-teman tulis ini semua supaya mereka punya punya semangat yang besar untuk maju. Aku melihat banyak sekali orang-orang di dunia dengar itu bekerja di kantor, terus menjalani aktivitas secara normal ya. Sedangkan di teman-teman tulis sendiri ketika kita mau melakukan itu sudah didiskriminasi duluan gitu. Kayak porsi yang diberikan kepada kami itu lebih sedikit dan kadang ada yang memiliki stigma bahwa tuli tidak bisa melakukan apa-apa.
Oke. Wah,
ya seperti itu.
Thank you, Fitra. So basically, it is almost the same as what Safian has already said, that I wanted to prove also that us, the deaf community artists, can also do the normal, the things that the normal people do. So what do you think about this, Saf? You know, Fitra share the same, like the same, how to say, like experience, or share like the same values with you, saying like, and it is so intriguing to me when you are saying like, oh, I want to prove that they are wrong. As a part of the deaf community artist, I can also do that. But what makes you comes out with the ideas that, hey, you know, I am no different than them, that I wanted also to do things like what they are doing. Safian, can you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, because of there's a lot of good deaf role model that need to see that they have their own community. Like when I was little, I feel like I have never seen any deaf artist out there in my area. So then since I went to London for the trip, and I've seen a lot of deaf artists like rapper, songwriter, poetry, music, DJ, actor, all that type of thing. And I'm like, I wish I could have a good deaf role model in that time. So, and then because I've seen a lot of people who have their own really good skills, but it's another problem is where it's a lack of confidence, lack of communication. So between deaf and hearing, there's not a big difference. Deaf and hearing, the same, like how communication, but the only difference is to hear. Like I have hand, I can do it. So don't matter like what kind of different communication methods, as in can do sign language, we can do writing notes, or we could do body language, face impression, or a pitching area or something like that. But what I'm saying prove them wrong is that people think deaf can't do it just because they can't hear or do it something. But I do believe that deaf people do have their own skill. So I'm glad that I've showed people that I can do it, where people say I can't do because of my deafness and my communication. But I've learned so much since I went to a deaf club for the first time. That made me realize, okay, I can do it. I just need skill. I just need experience, understand. So I've been to a lot of different areas, as in, like I used to work in a partnership at TV. I went to Newcastle. I went to London. All the different type of area with ITV and the BBC, and work with deaf people. I've seen that a lot of skills they have. It's just that I wanted to show people deaf can do it. But there is no barrier. I can see it, a lot of people, and I can overcome, break the barrier and show them that deaf can do it. So I believe we can do it. We can show them, prove them wrong. So I feel it's important to show people that I can do it. I show you this, and that. But I wish I could have that role model in back time when I was little, but now I have one, and it changed my life completely. It made me, wow, okay, I could do this, so I've done it. And then a lot of people who have said they want to become like me because I've done, and I show them that I've done this, and show what a lot of deaf people can do, especially to a lot of deaf children. It's important because they need to see their own role model. They need to see deaf staff or deaf people that will help deaf children to feel more confidence rather than feel lack of confidence. So I have also volunteering with deaf children. I just make sure you see me that makes you feel better, confident, and can do it in the future. So yeah.
So in other words, you are saying that you are doing this also to inspire others, especially the young children with the hearing problems, because they are in need for the role models. Right. Okay. Very interesting. And you once told me also about your, your aspirations to be an actors and the videos and the music directors and so on. Like, is that why you had to say like you are click with Niles and so on, because he is into, he is you both share like the same passion and so on.
So I think again, a role model. Like when I was little, I wanted to do some acting, music kind of thing, but I the thing happened when 9 months, 9 months years old. I couldn't hear very well. I couldn't talk because I don't know like how to make friends with people, how to talk to the people. So I think I started learning therapy how to talk, but I don't think I'd be ready. But I've seen more visual. I can see a lot of people film TV show. It makes me want to make a video. So I couldn't do acting instead. So I'm love doing a filmmaking and photographer. So then now, before the pandemic happened, my friend of mine who worked for theatre called Take Flight Theatre, that's where I have a deaf land teacher who helps children to learn acting stuff. And her friends begging me, oh please come to the music festival. And I'm not sure because of when I was little I couldn't, but now I can. I said, oh, okay, I give it a go, see how it goes. And then the third workshop is songwriter, and the band, he's a rapper. He teach me a lot of things, and he teach me how to write a song. And I'm like, I want this in that time, but now it makes me realize I want to do music and think every day I listen to music because sometimes I stressful, pressure, or feeling full of emotional, like upset. I need to be myself, quiet. All I think of is film and music. It make me calm, make me listen. After 5 minutes, I feel so much better. So, and then I was doing some filming and editing, and people said, "Oh, they don't want to be acting. They don't want to show their faces in the video." And they said, "Everyone filters it's me." I go, "Okay, I'll give it a go." And then everything falls through it. I can finally talk. I can hear. I can do it because I've learned to talk with therapy. And people say, "Saf, why don't you go to acting instead of doing a film edit?" But I think with me, I found it really make me calm and enjoyable, seeing a lot of visual, quite a lot different. So that's why I started again during that time, started again in pandemic time. And I was doing some, first time was doing some action, film, fighting, and then do some other song, music. I finally got it started again and it works. I think, again, a role model, and you need to see deaf artists and see myself where I got it. Like, I can learn how to talk, I can learn how to make friends, I can learn skill. So I finally got it. So I'm carry on doing film and edit, but I want to attend to do more music and acting because that's part of me. That's what I want to do. And I finally got
And
it.
that's something you are passionate about, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is it inspired from your superheroes, the Teenage Mutants, Ninja Turtles, and so on, that you wanted also to inspire?
Yeah.
So, Saf, tell me some things, right? We all here in the eastern part of the world, we often have that kind of stereotype, you know, that those so-called modern countries like the UK is very much friendly with those those friends, those disabled friends, if you understand what I mean. But then I wanted to hear from your perspective, like how would you see this kind of stereotypings? Like, is it really friendly, or you know, in your life, you are not 24 years old, right? Have you ever find like some obstacles, like from your environment, from the governments? Are they supportive, or they often scoff at you and laugh at you and so on?
I don't understand what you mean.
I mean, like, how would your, you know, from your perspectives, you belong to these communities, right? We have the stereotype here in the Eastern world that those modern countries like the UK are very much, you know, friendly to your community. But is it true? Isn't that what you have found in your real life? Do you have supportive friends, supportive environments, or they often laugh at you and mock you and or something?
Yeah. I think I would struggle a lot on my own because of my parents who moved to Wales from Pakistan, and we all got struggle because we all new. And since I've met a lot of deaf people from community, different like Asian community, a lot of people, I felt more easier than doing on my own. So without people, I might get struggle and things that happened, but I think a lot of people are kind of really nice to me, friendly, lovely people who love to help me, and I love to help them too. So I think giving and support each other and going somewhere to be able to do independent work and with people, they're so kind and help each other, no matter how big or how small you are, we still support each other. So like I'm going everywhere, different cities, and they're very supportive, they're very calm. Okay, we can make this work, and so on.
Okay. Oh, very nice. So, Alessandra, I think this is more to your expertise, right? Thank you, Safian. I highlighted that we highlighted here that Safian is really Safian, lucky as what his names as what the names of his names. But how to say, you are working with LAF, and I'm sure also that there must be like, you know, people out there who might not be so lucky as Safians. And during your work experience working with LIF, do you see this kind of examples also, like especially during the pandemics? The exclusivity and how the governments and also treat each others, and about the stereotype that we often have.
Well, thank you for the question. I think what we can say is that in the UK, there is a lot of support for different disabilities. And also disability is a legally protected characteristic. So when you and now actually with the pandemic, I can imagine that what has been happening is that in everyday life, people do encounter a lot of barriers. Especially, we all became really aware of this with the wearing of masks, that people who cannot hear well can't lip read. It's a very basic thing, but a lot of people don't realize this. But when you actually deal with institutions, with services, and also with arts events, there is support. There is sign interpreting, there is captioning, subtitles, and this has become quite normal. So I think the provision is really very good. I mentioned Disability Arts Cymru, but there are actually quite a few organizations that support artists with disability, for example. And give them the support to be able to create. So I would say that yes, others are lucky as well. And about Safian, I think his home environment has been clearly very supportive. And what I find interesting in his work, and I would encourage everyone to go to his YouTube channel and to his Twitter account, that he, as an actor, he uses this device of what's referred to as doppelganger or alter ego. He is one person and he is also at the same time another person. Safian, would you like to show the video you showed us where you have yourself behind you doing sign language? Never mind. It's
well,
before we
Safian
started.
Yeah.
He showed us this trick where he shows a video of himself communicating through sign language, but also talking at the same time. And this is something. There is a new video on YouTube and also on his Twitter account where he does this. He is two people at the same time, and it has subtitles in Welsh.
Lovely.
So yes, I mean the answer is that I think there is a lot of support, but we all need to think about it more. And this is what I realized, that especially when you talk about writing and literature, you would think, yes, there is no barrier. Deaf people can read.
Because literature connects everyone in this sense, right?
Yeah, but also there is often in festivals, for example, there would be sign interpreters, and but it is more complicated than that. And I think we still need to work on it and understand, what we need to do to be more inclusive.
Okay, here we have a question also, Alessandra from Fikri saying, like, do you have the sign language interpreters on your TV news about coronavirus so that deaf people can keep up with the updates as so as hearing peoples and so on?
Yes, there isn't enough actually in this sense. The briefings about coronavirus are interpreted by sign language interpreters, but generally, actually, there isn't enough sign language interpreting on the news, for example. And this is what deaf people would tell you, that, this is how they feel. They do feel excluded. In my, I was born in what's now called the Czech Republic, and since we started this project, I have been paying more attention to this. And for instance, I noticed that they have news exclusively there in the Czech Republic. They have news exclusively in sign language, which is amazing. So the newsreader communicates with sign language. They are center stage. They are not on the side. interpreting what someone else is saying. And I find that fascinating.
Okay, so I think it is a little bit the same. Like once Niall also told us that, you know, how this kind of things aligns, you know, with he's also fascinated with the dialects and the several expression and the gesture, right, Niles? But then when we are talking about this pandemic, especially to those marginalized, Niall, how would you see this kind of phenomena? You've been working with Safians also, like during this pandemic, everything should be done for sure should be done virtually, because you might have a little bit difficulties in meeting face to face, right? So
Yeah.
how have you seen this kind of fact? You know, it is not easy.
Well, it's very quickly become quite normal, really. I mean, it's great that we've got such technology, you know, but there's no substitute for meeting face to face, of course. But what's been really interesting with the pandemic, in the ways that it's separated us, but also in the ways that it's brought us together. I mean, it's made me realize recently how difficult it is to communicate with you just with your eyes. So if you're wearing a mask, all you can see is your hat, all you can see is your eyes. So, and there was an article recently in one of the magazines, I can't remember what it was, where in Muslim areas where the women wear niqabs.
Yes.
And they've been saying, well, we've been doing this. We know how to communicate with our eyes because that's what we've been doing. So I find that fascinating, how you can smile with your eyes, and you know, all you can see is someone's eyes, and you know if they're happy and they're happy to meet you, you know, or people in a shop.
People say the eyes are also the windows of the heart, right?
Windows to the soul, yeah, exactly.
Windows of the soul.
Yes, yes. So when you get in Muslim areas, as I say, where women are wearing the niqabs, saying, well, this is a skill that we've learned, you know. So we've had to learn that too. So in some ways, it's allowed us to understand more and empathize more with various other sections of society that prior to the pandemic, we didn't really have that thing in common, that commonality, which I find really fascinating, really interesting. And then working with Safian, it's made me realize the importance of hearing, how it is to be. I mean, I know Safian's got his cochlear implant now, but how much you take for granted the 5 senses that we have, you know, and how much touch and tactility is how an important part of his smell, and hearing for those of us who aren't part of the deaf community.
Oh, lovely. But how long does it take for you to work with Safian? Like Fitra, when Fitra, in Fitra's case, it takes like for about 4 months. Is it the same for Safian, or it takes longer?
Well, we were quite late to this project, so we didn't have a great deal of time to work together. But we've been doing quite a lot of work. It's been quite intense. But I think because Safian had a grounding and experience with putting together film, then I think it came a lot. I wouldn't say easy is the wrong word. It was something that he was accustomed to. So he didn't have to start from scratch, as it were. He didn't have to start from the beginning. He already had some skills in that field on which he could draw, you know. So yes, it hasn't actually taken that long. Had we had longer, then I think Saf could have done something a bit more, well, longer in itself, and also using some of the other skills that he couldn't really use simply because we didn't have much time.
Oh, okay. So I believe that when you say like there is not so much time, there will be also the continuity after these programs. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll continue to work. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Niles. Safian, if I ask you, like working with Alessandra and Niles, you know, for sure you three go through up and downs and so on. But you know, like how would you see yourself, you know, before and after this kind of mentorships programs, this kind of assistance programs? How would you compare yourself before and after?
Like we all have different experience, knowing different ways. Like I know in my way what I do, but been working with Alexandra and Neil have been amazing team support me. Like I don't know where to start until the end. So I got amazing support from Alexandra and Neil to help me where to get start to the finish. Yeah, didn't know like quite sure what I do, but after they helped me understand, so I feel I know. So we finish it ever since then.
Okay, lovely. So are you excited for the, for continuing this mentorship program also with them? Huh? I'm expecting to see more works from you, huh? Maybe maybe a little bit of memes or a little bit like a comedy or a parodies about your Ninja Turtles or the Justice League, or you make your own Justice League from your own community, and I'm expecting to see that. Okay.
I could be Wolverine.
Niall can write the script, or Alessandra can translate it into several songs. Interesting.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Thank you. So when we are talking about this kind of works, okay, we cannot also Safian and Fitra is quite a little bit different. Safian is dealing more to the video, while Fitra is dealing more also about the the written forms, which is the literatures. And we cannot even neglect the fact that Fitra has already Fitra got his books illustrated also. And I think here in this point we should thank Astari. Astari, are you here?
Hello.
Hello, hi Astari. Astari is a freelance designer and illustrator based in Bandar Lampung, Indonesia, and she currently does several arts. Astari, hello. And explore the watercolors to express and illustrate the feelings and also the inner experience. So Astari, just a quick questions. I think we should thank you for for putting more Fitrah works is already lively, and but then I think we should thank you for putting his works more lively with your illustrations. Just a quick questions, like why do you decide to work with Fitrah? What have you seen in Fitrah that makes you feel like, okay, I have to work with Fitrah? Jadi apa yang dilihat Astari ini dari Fitrah gitu loh, jadi tiba-tiba bilang, okay, I work with Fitrah. Aku mau join di proyek ini dan membantu Fitrah.
Okay. First of all, I don't work alone. I work with Naya, and she has been very helpful, especially in the illustrating aspect. I think the most important thing about working with Fitrah is to get to know about him and his story. And the big thing about Fitrah is about communication. So and I think the way Fitrah communicates is very beautiful. I don't think it's different from us. It's just in different colors and different hues. And Fitrah also like to dance, but I don't think that's something. I see dance as something that is not separate from Fitrah. Even when he's communicating through his sign language, it looks like he's dancing. So when we try to illustrate his story, two words come to our mind, which is growth and movement. We'd really like to try to put that into an illustration, because we think that two word is something that is very important aspect of telling a story about Fitra.
Okay.
And okay.
So go on, Mbak Astari. Here, I also see like here is also the illustration about Fitra. Yeah, like how would you define Fitra from as a dancer, as a as a writer also, and also as a part of the deaf community artist, right? And it is very interesting also to know like how can you interact to each others. You are in Bandar Lampung, Fitra in Makassar. How can you interact?
How we interact is very sangat pada akhirnya sangat bergantung sama Kak Ciki dan Kak Eki gitu. Karena saya juga apa ya, we cannot communicate with sign language, so with their presence here is really helps.
Okay. So here are several illustration also, right, Mbak As, and how they define fikris and so on. Very interesting. Do you find any difficulties when you are working with Fitra, like how to express his thought into the illustration? Tidak menemukan masalah bagaimana kayak putting Fitrah, tulisan Fitrah itu dalam ilustrasi, atau harus semedi dulu mungkin menemukan pangsit, ya kan?
It's all discussion. We do it with discussion. This illustration, actually, this sketch is done by Naya. So maybe if I'm to be asked about to describe this sketch, maybe Naya could be more, you know.
Yeah, more capable in doing so.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I think it is also such a blessing for every one of us, because we are able to find like the teams who can, work in a synergies and so on. Interesting. Thank you, Mbak. Back to Kak Erni and back to Fitrah nih. As the last, how to say, like, because we are also running out of times. Kak Erni and Fitrah, is there any, how to say, like, is there any difficulties like when you are working to each others, and like, is there any continuity from these programs? Kak Erni, apakah ada kelanjutan lagi dari program ini nantinya? Oh, hello.
Ya, halo.
Yes.
Ya, Mbak Deska. Ya, saya dan Fitra sudah kurang lebih hampir 3 bulan ya kami bekerja untuk Fitra menulis, kemudian membaca, dan Fitra menulis kembali. Jadi banyak hal yang saya peroleh dari seperti yang dibilang tadi oleh Kak Lili, bahwa proyek ini justru adalah tempat saya belajar. Jadi sebenarnya saya adalah orang dengar yang awam akan budaya tuli. Kemudian ketika masuk di proyek Silence ini, terlibat di sini, benar-benar belajar dari dasar gitu. Jadi melalui catatan-catatan Fitra, saya membaca banyak hal gitu. Saya mendapatkan banyak wawasan, termasuk kita tahu ya di masyarakat juga sering kita menjumpai stigma, tetapi yang ditulis langsung, pengalaman langsung oleh seseorang, itu baru kita temui di catatan-catatan Fitra Ramadan. Dan kemudian satu kabar gembira yang ingin saya bilang, bahwa Fitra Ramadan itu sudah menulis 102 halaman untuk draft bukunya yang kedua. Dan di draft bukunya yang kedua ini kalimat-kalimat Fitra jauh lebih jernih dari sebelumnya. Jadi maksudnya Fitra bagaimana ya? Dia belajar sendiri dengan cara yang penuh semangat begitu ya.
Wow.
Jadi itu yang bikin terharu dari saya dan Kak Lili karena betapa kerja kerasnya Fitra itu luar biasa dalam beberapa bulan 100 lebih halaman dia membuat catatan. Jadi itu terima kasih.
Wow, wah kembali ke Fitrah ini. Fitrah, bagaimana proses Fitrah ini? Ada pertanyaan nih dari Mbak Yeni. Bagaimana proses belajar Fitrah nih dalam menyesuaikan struktur kalimat dalam tulisan dari yang biasa berkomunikasi dengan bisindo ke tata bahasa tulis? Like how would you how to say like adjust gitu your learning process from the structure of the sentence and so on.
Okay. Teman-teman bisa lihat aku ya. Oke. Nah, caraku untuk memperbaiki kata-kata itu sebenarnya pakai bahasa Indonesia ya. Nah, pertama kali aku menuliskan memang kata-katanya terbalik-balik. Kemudian sebenarnya aku membaca banyak buku. Kemudian aku berusaha untuk mencocok-cocokkan. Jadi sebelum disetorkan ke KRNI itu, aku udah mencocokkan nih sama buku-buku yang aku baca. Terus apakah kalimat yang ini sudah sesuai dengan kaidah bahasa Indonesia yang baik dan benar. Nah, setelah itu aku filter, saring sendiri. Nah, terus udah aku edit yang baru seperti kayak bahasa baru sih sebenarnya buatku.
Wow. Terus Fitra, with this mentorship program, and after this mentorship program, do you see yourself as as a dancer or as a writer? Fitra melihat diri Fitra lebih kepada dancer atau sebagai writer setelah mentorship program dengan Kak Erni ini?
Aku sebenarnya lebih mau dua-duanya.
And if you have to pick one, kalau harus satu?
Oh, harus pilih satu ya?
Harus pilih satu, choose one. Jangan kemaruk. So greedy.
Kalau sekarang aku lebih senang dance. Sebab semua orang-orang melihat sepertinya bagus aja sih.
So, Fitra and Safyan, next project or next meeting, I would love to see Fitra dancing with Safyan playing the music instruments. Can we do that in the next meeting, if we have the next meeting? Yes? But in the beginning of the discussion, Safyan has already given us the surprise with his video that he is creating and he's making. Now, teman-teman, dear friends, I wanted to give you another surprise, and this one is from Fitra. So please enjoy the surprise. And meanwhile, if you have the questions, like for about 1 or 2 questions, please write it down in the chat box before we ended up the session.
always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one. Working hella hard until I get just what I want, yeah. Rises like the sun, yeah, fatal like a gun. Shooter's gonna shoot and I'm gonna shoot until I fall. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. Grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah.
Everyone, please give a big applause by pressing the applause button to Fitra. I throw like a questions like, oh, we should have like the longer panel so we can see Safian playing his guitars while Fitra is dancing. And everybody says, yeah, it will be cool. We look forward to do so and so on. So MEWF, Makassar International Riders, please do your magic and provide us with the longer panels later. Okay, so last questions to both Safian and Fitra before we end up our discussions. What is your next project? What is your next goal? Safian, what is your next goal after this?
At the moment, I'm working on writing my own short films, for me to know how to play acts for superhero. So recently I've met one of the South Asian artists network, and a friend of mine going to help me to make a short film for me to be acting superhero based on a deaf character.
Oh,
so that's my goal. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Very interesting. Keep this flame on, Safian. And what about Fitra? What is your next goal? Fitra mau apa ke depannya?
Kalau aku aku lihat di chat ada banyak banget orang yang nanya-nanya ya. Terima kasih untuk pertanyaan-pertanyaannya juga nih. Nah, ini aku lihat tadi di sini ada yang tanya nih, ada berapa bulan nih belajar menari, saya belajar menari. Aku mulai menari itu sebenarnya sekalian dijawab aja ya. Aku udah lama nih menari, dari umur 16 tahun. Aku belajar sendiri menari. Terus inspirasi saya dari Michael Jackson. Nah, aku selalu banget nonton videonya di YouTube, video Michael Jackson itu. Terus aku copy deh cara dia, teknik dia. Terus aku pernah masuk komunitas dance yang dimana di sana semua ada dengar terus, tapi aku punya hambatan dengar, jadi rasanya sulit untuk bergabung dan melanjutkan. Jadi aku memutuskan untuk keluar. Nah, terus aku latihan sendiri deh.
Terus ke depannya Fitra mau apa nih?
Ya, kemudian untuk menanyakan rencana ke depan ya. Aku mau Oh iya. Caraku mendengar itu melalui ini. Jadi melalui speaker, suara itu kan ada di speaker. Nah, aku belajar mendengarkan vibrasi melalui speaker itu, atau mendekatkan ke telinga, atau bisa juga ke bagian ini. Nah, seperti itu. Sebab ada beat dan ada getaran, ada suara bass. Nah, aku mencoba deh mencocokkan dengan itu dan macam-macam.
Oke, terima kasih Fitra.
Oh iya, ini tadi ada pertanyaan tentang rencana ke depan ya. Nah, untuk ke depan sendiri aku mau selalu dan tetap menunjukkan melalui tarian dan membuat puisi, menulis, sebab dari menulis itu aku bisa belajar dan aku bisa mengcopy dari tulisanku, aku bisa mengcopy dan memvisualisasikannya melalui gerak. Seperti itu. Oke.
I happen to mute myself, apologize. So very interesting, Fitra, thank you very much indeed. So we are expecting to see more collaborations between Safian and Fitra, I think in the near futures, because everybody here is encouraging two of you to collaborate, playing the music and dance at the same time. Mind you, everyone, that before we end up our discussions, Makassar International Writers Festival and Rumata also have this giveaway. You can win some prizes from us if you share your creative photos and the comments, the most interesting comments during the MEWF. But please do not forget also to put the hashtag MEWF Anthropos or MEWF 20 and 21. Okay. Mind you also that after this discussion, on behalf of Makassar International Writers Festivals, let me, recite one of the phrase from our, from my favorite writers, Bram Stoker, whom once says come freely, go safely, and live something of happiness that you bring. So I thank everyone here for coming and joining, for allowing us to deliver a little bit of happiness to your doors. And I, on behalf of Makassar International Writers Festival, I also thank our partners, the British Councils, Asia Centers, Japan Foundation, and the Body Shop, along with other partners. Thank you so very much indeed. We also how to say thanks our media partners, and mind you also that after these discussions we are going to have another discussions and entitled the Indonesians here, Indonesian Literature in Translation, the New Generation and Initiative. You are going to see, and we are going to unveil what it is in the Indonesian literature and its translation. The panels are going to be attended by Rara Rizal and also Sarah Fina and also Tiffany So, and it's going to be hosted by Intan Paramadita. Okay, so voila. In the end of the discussions, I would love to invite you also to turn on your cameras and let's just take photos for, you know, as a souvenir from the Makassar International Writers Festivals. We cannot welcome you face to face, but then we can also, we can give you these photos as souvenirs. I would love to invite you to turn on your cameras, please. And we are going to take the group photos at the moment. I have two how to say, like two two slides here. So on my count, 1, 2, 3, everybody please smile. 1, 2, and 3. Please don't move because I don't know like which one I'm taking. So please don't move. Let's take another 2, and please don't send any chat yet. Otherwise it's going to pop up on my screen. So 1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Hang on a second. Another one. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much indeed. Thank you everyone for joining. And on behalf of the Makassar International Writers Festival, I thank you. Give a big applause to every one of us, and I'll see you in the next festivals. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Niles. Thank you. Safian and also Alessandra for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.